An asylum seeker is an individual who has applied for refugee status but has yet to be approved as a refugee, whereas a failed asylum seeker has not met the criteria of Section 1 of the 1951 Refugee Convention. If individuals cannot return home, they become destitute. A person is destitute if they do not have adequate accommodation or any means of obtaining it, or cannot meet their essential living needs. UNHCR estimates that there are over 170,000 asylum seekers living in the UK, with 9,000 asylum seekers becoming destitute in 2015. Typically, it is expected asylum seekers become destitute when they reach the end of the asylum process and choose to remain in the country without any state support. However, there are several other ways destitution can occur. Firstly, they reach the end of their asylum case and are awaiting decisions on support while preparing to leave the country. Secondly, they receive right to remain but are unable to acquire accommodation within 28 days, in which their support entitlement ends. Or thirdly, there is a failure of their NASS payments to come through. Consequently, asylum seekers may become destitute during and after the asylum process, pointing to structural failures within the UK immigration process. Asylum seeker destitution is a particular problem in Greater Manchester. Oldham is one of the top 10 towns to receive asylum seekers.
The latest figures from the Home Office say about 5,500, which is about 1 in 4 of the asylum seekers in the whole of England. And for context, it's more than in the whole of Wales and Scotland put together.
Theoretically, dispersal areas are not only determined by the cost of housing, but ability to provide social links. However, 700 of these 5,500 asylum seekers are placed in Oldham, despite a recent ONS study revealing that Oldham is the most deprived town in England.
The government places people largely according to where the housing is cheapest, so in Greater Manchester a lot of those people are being put in parts of Rochdale and parts of Oldham and particularly Bolton, and politicians are getting concerned that there is really big over-concentration in certain very deprived areas, that people are being put there but then the support isn't there for them, and that is causing tension within the local community.
Oldham Unity, a project run by a group of volunteers, was set up to address these challenges of lack of support and community tension, and to address the challenges facing destitute asylum seekers, particularly those entirely excluded from the asylum process. We have this crazy situation where people are turned down for asylum but the government doesn't deem it safe for them to return to their own country. We see some people from Palestine who, because their country doesn't legally exist, they can't be repatriated. They're just completely ignored, unable to live either here or in their home country. Both destitution and being an asylum seeker leads to individuals experiencing multiple exclusions. Exclusion is the lack or denial of resources, rights, goods, services, and the inability to participate in normal society, whether in economic, social, cultural, or political arenas. It affects the quality of life for individuals and the equity and the cohesion of society as a whole. Asylum seekers are also economically excluded, as they are unable to take part in the job market. However, when an asylum seeker is destitute, they are further excluded from support in housing and welfare that most asylum seekers are entitled to. This often leaves them with little alternative than to take illegal work, often in very poor conditions, with wages as low as £1 an hour. This economic exclusion also furthers social exclusion, as asylum seekers are unable to use employment as a means of integration. Destitution increases the severity of this exclusion to what is defined as deep exclusion, a lack of access to the most fundamental necessities for a dignified life, resulting in severe negative consequences for quality of life, well-being, and future life chances. They rejected my claim and now I have no housing or money. I come to the project for food and clothes.
In Oldham, this deep exclusion is exacerbated by economic decline that has led to a lack of accessible services for the very vulnerable.
Once they are deemed not to be eligible as refugees, they have all their housing and money withdrawn and become destitute. Even if they want to appeal, it is difficult because of the changes in legal aid to get solicitors to take up the case, while dedicated services such as Oldham Law Centre have now closed.
The main service provided by Oldham Unity is a food bank, where destitute asylum seekers are entitled to 30 points to be spent on various food items. In addition to this service, Oldham Unity provides clothing, shoes, blankets, towels and toys. However, the most vital support offered by Oldham Unity is social networking. It was clear from volunteers that the social aspect, engaging with members of Oldham's community and other asylum seekers, is beneficial for users maintaining a positive outlook and increasing integration.
It has helped me to understand and get access to support that I'm legally entitled to. Coming here has also helped me meet lots of other people in similar situations to myself, and also form supportive relationships with people who've been living in Oldham for a long time. I think it shows communities working together at their best.
It is clear from the experiences at Oldham Unity that asylum seekers face multiple exclusions as a result of the legal system handling their claims, as well as the dispersal policy. The social and economic exclusion faced by asylum seekers is somewhat addressed by organisations such as Oldham Unity, who provide support to tackle the symptoms of destitution. However, Oldham Unity are only able to function within their specific area. This is an advantage, as broadening their scope may lead to ineffectiveness, but this demonstrates the need both for other services to provide support and for change in the larger political processes which are the root cause of destitution and exclusion of asylum seekers.